Well, so well, today we're not doing Congress Watch. Today we're doing more of an FBI watch. And, we could take a look at the FBI's most wanted, top 10 most wanted. But, it's kind of the same old list, if you ask me. There's a reward for $20 million for some dude who has a leadership position in a drug cartel. There's an award for $1 million for some dude who's probably in Mexico. But I thought this was interesting. Canyon City man charged for interfering with flight crew. Right, charged with interfering with flight crew. You know what? Hold on. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna change the name. Interfering with flight crew. Check this out. Passenger refused to wear a mask, struck a flight attendant in the arm, and urinated in his seat. Well, okay, this guy may or may not be, mentally unfit to undergo trial, right? Like, they don't really tell us that, but it's interesting, right? Because right now we're looking at like press releases, FBI press releases, and a lot of the stuff is kind of crazy, legit stuff, it seems. But this is what's interesting. This is what I find to be interesting. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Colorado announced that Landon Perry Greer, 24, of Canyon City, has been charged with interfering with a flight crew in violation of Title 49 United States Code Section 46504. Greer made his initial appearance in federal court in Denver yesterday, where he was advised of the charge against him and ordered released on conditions of pretrial supervision. It's just interfering with a flight crew. Like, okay. I mean, like, I guess I don't necessarily find this to be that big a deal, but the FBI seems to think it's a big enough deal. At least the law tells them to treat it like a big deal, And I'm guessing interfering with a flight crew, like, could be pretty serious potentially. But at the same time, if it was serious, then I don't think they'd use the word interfering. Right? Anyway, according to the facts contained in the complaint, on March 9th, 2021, really not that long ago, right? 6 days ago. During the flight, Greer was asked 8 to 10 times to put on a face mask as required by airline policy. Right? Not, as required by law. No. As required by airline policy. It doesn't seem like he's necessarily being charged with not wearing a face mask, though. Right? Greer initially ignored the flight attendant, but then struck her arm. Like, I mean, it's not like the bitch was just walking by and he was just like, man, let me just hit you in the arm. Like, fuck you, right? Like, this just seems interesting. Later, passengers notified a different flight attendant that Greer was urinating in his seat. I mean, that makes me think it's somebody with special needs. Somebody who probably shouldn't be wearing a face mask in the first place. Just for, like, health and mental reasons, Like, seems like they're exempt from wearing a face mask, but, airline policy. Right? A flight attendant notified the captain When the captain was notified, he was preparing to land after declaring an emergency for an unrelated maintenance issue. So did he land? Or was he just preparing to land? Interfering with flight crew carries a potential penalty of up to 20 years in prison and or a fine of up to $250,000. I'm telling you, people who, like defraud millions, if not billions of dollars out of American citizens don't go to prison for 20 years, up to 20 years. They may be fined a few million, but no way they go into prison for up to 20 years. And I would love to see a judge. I want to see what happens with this, honestly. The charge in the criminal complaint is an allegation, and the defendant is presumed innocent until proven guilty. Why do they have that into this one? I haven't read this one that's in any of the other press releases, but of course, presumed innocent until proven guilty. The investigation was conducted by the Federal Bureau of Investigations with substantial assistance from the Denver Police Department. Assistant United States Attorneys Brad Giles and David Tonini are handling the prosecution. Really? That's what our FBI is doing? It's investigating somebody who wouldn't put on his mask, and then who knows what happened? Like, was the flight attendant? What did the flight attendant do, right, before she got struck in the arm? Right? It's not like she's just like what is she doing? Because it says he first ignored her. So it seems to me like maybe the flight attendant was, not trying to be ignored, right? And so like doing something. So somebody's like, "Get your fucking arm out of my face!" Like smacked it out of her, and then that's interfering with the flight crew, right? The part about urinating in the seat is very curious. Like it makes me think special needs is involved here. But whatever the case, dude was charged. Like, I'm sorry, just that's what the FBI is up to. Not just this; they're doing a lot of other important stuff. Of course, the FBI is a giant organization, but like, really, this is what they're investigating. I'm sorry, it's just like the guy was asked to put on a face mask 8 to 10 times. I mean, it's airline policy. Who initially ignored it, the flight attendant, but then struck her arm as if, like, how come there's not more detail in this? Right? Like, struck her arm just like when she was walking by, when she was waving her arm in front of his face, when she was trying to force the mask onto his face. Like, what? I feel like there's some key details that have been left out of this press release. Right, but this is the case number 21-MJ-00038- MEH-1. That's just funny. Maybe this isn't. I mean, it says the investigation was conducted by the FBI with assistance from the Denver Police Department. And this was a flight that was, right, this was from Seattle to Denver. on an Alaska Airlines flight from Seattle to Denver. Not that that's a big deal, but Alaska Airlines, you would think, flying to from Alaska, but okay, it's Seattle, Denver. You never know. Asked to put on a face mask. It's airline policy, not federal law, not law, just airline policy. Ignored the flight attendant, then struck her arm. Then apparently the flight attendant, a different flight attendant, was notified that he was urinating in his seat. Like, why? Because if he got up to go to the bathroom, the flight attendants would surround him and force him to put his mask on or something. Just spat all over my keyboard. Oh my gosh. The captain was notified. And then the captain, like when he was notified, preparing to land after declaring an emergency for an unrelated maintenance issue. So the captain was notified at the time when he was already preparing to land for an unrelated maintenance issue. It's not like they, decided to land because somebody was pissing in their seat aboard their plane. I'm sorry. This is the FBI. I mean, this is justice.gov, right? But investigation was conducted by the Federal Bureau of Investigations. That's the FBI. And this charge, right, carries a potential penalty of a maximum 20 years in prison. Interfering with a flight crew can get you up to 20 years in prison, or so you can get both or just one or the other, right? A fine of maximum $250,000. Interfering with a flight crew, right? Not threatening a flight crew, not murdering a flight crew, which would obviously get you more, right? Not assaulting a flight crew. Interfering with a flight crew. So if you're on a plane and somebody's one of the flight attendants is just pushing that cart by, and they're like, "Oh, what would you like to drink?" And you're like, "Oh, I'd like a Sprite." And they're like, "Oh, we don't have any Sprite. Anything else?" It's like, "No, give me my Sprite." And you put your foot out and you block the cart from passing by. It's like, bitch, I know you got a Sprite aboard that cart. I saw you give it to some other people. It's like, we just ran out. That's bullshit. Don't give me that. Technically, that's interfering with the flight crew. Technically. That'll get you up to 20 years in prison or a fine of up to $250,000 or both. I'm sorry. I find that to be a little overboard. Right? Maybe you guys disagree. Maybe you think that's perfectly reasonable, but it's interfering with a flight crew, which is a pretty vague word, right? Interfering, right? Particularly if the flight crew is trying to force a mask on your face, which it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. All it says is that the flight attendant just asked him to, and it doesn't even really say that the flight attendant did it, right? It's just that he was asked to 8 to 10 times to put on a face mask. But it does say that he initially ignored the flight attendant, right? And so it's, most likely the flight attendant was the one who's like, "Yo, put on your face mask. Put on your face mask. Put on your face mask." He's just ignoring her. But then something caused a situation to occur where he then decided, instead of ignoring her was not enough. So instead struck her arm. And I mean not struck her hand, struck her wrist, struck her arm. I'd like to know what seat this guy was sitting in. Right? I'd like to know just what the flight attendant was doing, right? Like if the flight attendant was really putting her arm like if she brought her arm to him, or if she's just like, afterwards just walking by and just randomly he's just like punches her in the arm. I'd like to know. I'd be curious to know. But yeah, this I never knew this, but this is interfering with the flight crew is a violation of Title 49 United States Code Section 46504. And you can get up to 20 years in prison for interfering with a flight crew. I mean, like, I suppose interfering with a flight crew would include interfering with a pilot, right? Like going up into the cockpit and like trying to fly the plane, right? Trying to take controls of the plane from the guy. I suppose that's kind of what it is. I mean, I hope this guy gets a judge that's, reasonable, because like if he got 1 year in prison for this, I would be just like, what the hell? I would. Because what does it say? It says he asked to put on a face mask, didn't do it, initially ignored the flight attendant, but then just struck her arm. We don't know under what circumstances struck her arm, but just struck her arm. And then a different attendant was notified that he was urinating in his seat. Is urinating in your seat interfering with a flight crew? That might be interfering with, a flight, right? The enjoyment of the flight by passengers, right? But urinating in your seat doesn't necessarily seem to be, necessarily interfering with a flight attendant or a pilot or any part of the crew. I just don't think that constitutes interfering. Why it's important to note that as part of this charge, or as part of this thing, that he was urinating in his seat, maybe perhaps it kind of gives us an idea that this is actually a special needs individual who probably shouldn't have been, was exempted from wearing a face mask by like any kind of laws anywhere in the country. But airline policy somehow like supersedes law, like federal law or state law, right? Like for instance, I was watching it was Viva Fry and Robert Barnes. They did their podcast on Sunday, and Robert Barnes is involved in a lawsuit where a cancer patient who, had a lot of trouble breathing was exempted from having to wear a mask by state law, county law, CDC, right? Everything like that. However, the grocery store that she was trying to buy groceries from had a policy that everybody needed to wear a mask. And so they forced her out. So she couldn't buy her groceries. And then when she tried to go to the hospital for a checkup, they wouldn't let her into the hospital because of the hospital's policy. So I don't know when it occurred that a company's policy supersedes a law. But yeah, that's why he's involved in a lawsuit there. Because that should not necessarily be, that shouldn't be the case, right? I mean, like, if it was hotel policy to not, give rooms to black people, that would be against the law. Policy wouldn't supersede that. You'd be able to sue them, I suppose. They'd be subject to something. I'm sitting here just like, as required by airline policy. Yeah, well, airline policy ain't law. So this guy didn't break a law in terms of not wearing a mask. However, they're going to maybe interpret that as interfering with a flight crew, which I think is kind of insane. I think that's insane. Right? Of course, I'd like to know what you guys think about this. But this is something. This is something else. I saw this and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Because this is the FBI investigating. The FBI is investigating a guy who wouldn't put his mask on a plane, who under some circumstance struck a flight attendant in the arm. With what? Probably just his fist. But who knows? We don't know. Could have been a machete, but no way he got a machete on board that flight. Couldn't have been a knife. Right? Maybe a can, like an aluminum can, like some of his trash. He just threw it at her arm. Like, and this is gonna get you 20 years up the maximum. Just maximum. It doesn't say the minimum here in this press release. It only says the maximum, right? Which, I wonder what the minimum is. I would like to know what the minimum is for this. I suppose I could look it up. God damn it! I don't want to dig that deep right now. I really don't want to dig that deep right now. I feel like I oughta. Hold on. Right. So, Title 49. United States Code. Transportation. U.S. Code. All right. This is section 46504. 46504. Aviation programs. 46504. Air commerce and safety. 46504. Enforcement and penalties. 46504. Special aircraft jurisdiction of the United States. 46504. Interference with flight crew members and attendants. All right. An individual. Let me just bring this over here for you cats. Bring this back up. An individual on an aircraft in the special aircraft jurisdiction of the United States who, by assaulting or intimidating a flight crew member or flight attendant of the aircraft, interferes with the performance of the duties of the member or attendant, or lessens the ability of the member or attendant to perform those duties, or attempts to conspires to do such an act. I'm sorry, I can't take this seriously. Maybe I'm just, a fucked up person. By all means, let me know. Shall be fined under Title 18, imprisoned for not more than 20 years, or both. Shall be fined under Title 18. I guess Title 18 is where the $250,000 is. Imprisoned for not more than 20 years or both. However, if a dangerous weapon is used in assaulting or intimidating the member or attendant, the individual shall be imprisoned for any term of years or for life. Okay, if a dangerous weapon is used in assaulting or intimidating a member or attendant, life in prison. I mean, like, good luck getting a dangerous weapon aboard a plane. This is 1991, like, what, amended 2001? Or 1994, amended 2001? That's a little concerning. I'm sorry, like, the dangerous weapon, like, yeah, I would get it's serious. That's serious, right? Especially assaulting a member or an attendant, that's pretty fucking serious, right? Intimidating, I mean, like, Okay, yeah, I really don't think intimidation, because anybody can be like, "Oh, I'm intimidated by this guy," right? Even if he's not doesn't have a dangerous weapon, right? It's like assaulting or intimidating a flight crew member. If like some really buff guy gets on the plane, and then maybe he's roided out or something like that, and the flight attendant's like, "We don't have like, you know, orange juice." He's just like, "What the fuck?" And he just kind of gets mad because he's like roided out, and it intimidates the flight crew member or the flight attendant, and then they're just like, "Oh my gosh, I was intimidated," right? And so therefore, that's interfering with the performance of the duties, right? That lessens their ability to do or perform those duties. So this motherfucker can be imprisoned for up to 20 years. I'm sorry, that seems a little insane. That seems a little too much, in my opinion. It's a little too much. A little too much, right? If a dangerous weapon is used in assaulting or intimidating, not murdering, right? They're not trying to take over the plane, right? I don't think I'm pretty sure they've got a whole other section for this, because that's the way our law is. They got that part defined someplace else, right? The individual shall be imprisoned for any term of years or for life. I mean, like, it doesn't. There's no minimum. There's no minimum, right? So this is. I mean, holy fuck, dude. I hope you get a judge that's reasonable. Like, holy shit, that's fucked up. That's fucked up. This dude literally is getting charged with interfering with a flight crew for not wearing a mask, apparently striking the girl's arm, and for some reason, this doesn't seem like it's relevant to the charge, but urinating in his seat. Up to 20 years. No weapon was used. Up to 20 years in prison. They say here a fine of up to 250,000. Bro, I fucking hope you get a fucking judge that, like, fucking reasonable, man. Holy shit. I hope you get somebody reasonable, dude. That really sucks. Now you know. I did not know. Right? I mean, of course, I'm not trying to. I fly on a plane. I'm too busy, being concerned with not knowing where the plane's flying to really do anything. But I mean, holy shit. And the FBI is investigating this. God damn it. 1994. Who was president in 1994? Who signed this into law? Hold on. Is that Clinton? Bill Clinton. That may not be Clinton. It might be Bush Sr., actually. Bill Clinton. President years. There we go. Presidency of Bill Clinton began at noon, January 20th, 1993. Okay, no, okay. So this was Clinton. This was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton signed this into law. What the fuck? I'm sorry. That is. Look, fucking put on your face mask as required by airline policy. Dude just ignored her at first. Just initially just ignored the bitch, and then hit her arm. Look, okay, what reason will he give to hit her arm? Hold on, okay, let me write this case number down. Because holy shit. Dude. No fucking way. Oh gosh. Yeah, I like this pen, but it sometimes gets a little dry on the tip. Needs a good licking. Holy shit. Let me just write down a little note here. Interfering with flight crew. I want to follow this. I want to see. Viva Fry can do it. Why can't I? They seem to be able to do it. This is ridiculous. I'm sorry, but that seems a little overboard. That seems just a tad on the extreme side, in my opinion. Because let's face it, in terms of this little code here, right, intimidating. Right, I mean, there's got to be a legal definition for intimidation, and you'd hope they'd follow it. But just so you know, you can't fuck with it. You can't fuck with flight attendants at all. You can't do it whatsoever. Right? Once again, I don't know why pissing in your seat is relevant in this. Have they not had, like, I mean, look, babies, right? Obviously that'd be insane. That'd be insane, right? If some baby was found pissing in their seat and they decided to charge the kid with interfering with a flight attendant, but I feel like it's possible. Or charge like their parents, like, holy shit. See, I feel like it, right now we're kind of like on an insane part of the slope, but it could get more insane. I guess that insane is not really the right word, right? Like lunacy, absolute lunacy. But what would the lunatical? I don't think that's a word. Like, lunaticish part of the slope, but it could get even more lunatical. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think that's a word, but I would like to know what word would kind of fit that. Oh my gosh, bro, make yourself a reasonable judge. Get yourself a reasonable judge, cause holy shit, man, holy shit, that is nuts. Passenger refused to wear a mask, struck a flight attendant in the arm, and urinated in his seat. Does that all constitute interfering with flight crew? I mean, we're going to have special needs prisons then. He goes, holy shit. And what was it? Couldn't like, see, would be interesting, and I don't think this is the case at all, but it'd be interesting if the flight attendants wouldn't really let him get out of his seat. And the dude really needed to pee. Medical emergency. I would like to know the details of this. I want to hear his side of the story, man. This sounds insane. No, it's nice to see that there's a maximum, but there really is no minimum, honestly. Because that means, the judge can just be like, go home. Don't do it again. Pay your court costs. Pay your lawyer, whatever, right? Not necessarily even like a fine, right? This is just like, it kind of costs things to file stuff, and it's just little fines and fees for everything. Which is funny because, it's almost as if the courts are out to make a profit. while they're funded by taxpayer dollars. It's like we need to get our money somehow. It's like, what do you mean you get your money somehow? You're funded already. It's like, nah, we can charge you. We can charge you little fines and fees, and not really fines. They call them fees, right? But court costs, fees. Like that's the thing. It's not the fines that are ordered. It's the fees that go with just doing what the court tells you to do. Right? You know. Damn. Get yourself a good lawyer. Not even a good lawyer. Get yourself a good judge. Right? Holy shit. All right. That was which one was that? Kansas City man charged for interfering with flight crew. Right. A lot of these are actually pretty nuts. Former sheriff's captain sentenced to prison for illegal gun deals and corruption. FBI Oklahoma City stands ready to address increased caseload. Doesn't really seem like much there. Former Boonville police officer arrested on civil rights charges. Mescalero man sentenced to 2 years in prison for assault. Tennessee woman sentenced to 9 years in federal prison for sex trafficking on a minor. Shit. FBI Navajo Nation investigates. Then the Henazed. I'm sorry. Let me try to pronounce this word here. Nina Nazad, silent H, Nina Nazad, homicide, reward offered. Ugh. Toledo man charged with using Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta Facebook page to defraud donors. Ooh. Hoo. Sorry, let's take a look at the press release. Yeah. Acting U.S. Attorney Bridget M. Brennan announced today that a federal grand jury sitting in Cleveland returned a 4-count indictment charging Sir Major Page, a.k.a. Tyree Conyers Page, age 32, of Toledo, Ohio, with 3 counts of money laundering and 1 count of wire fraud. It is alleged that the defendant created a 501c, that's like a nonprofit Facebook page, entitled Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta, and later used it to defraud donors out of more than $450,000 after BLMGA's, Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta, tax-exempt status as a charity with the IRS was revoked. Wait a second. Was it revoked before or after he got the $450,000? Because it was revoked after, and they go back in time and like, well, no, that's fraud. That'd be kind of fucked. Everyone knows that if you're donating to any BLM sites, if you're not donating to the ones that go directly into the Democrat Act Blue election campaigns, then yeah, you're not donating to the real ones. See, these allegations involve fraudulent misrepresentations that the donations received would support Black Lives Matter, when, as stated in the indictment, those funds were actually used by the defendant for personal expenses he incurred in Toledo and elsewhere. Said acting U.S. Attorney Bridget M. Brennan. It is our sincere hope that these charges help raise awareness about online scams and efforts by some to exploit the name and purpose of nonprofit organizations for personal gain. Page is accused of using unprecedented tensions and uncertainty due to widespread civil unrest and a global pandemic to fill his own bank account, said FBI Special Agent in Charge Eric B. Smith. Page allegedly purchased homes, traveled, and spent other people's money to buy luxury items for himself, all on the backs of hardworking people believing they were donating to a worthy cause. Yeah, I'm sure they believe that, but I mean, honestly, like, you know, if you look, the organization, the real Black Lives Matter organization, makes it very clear that they're Marxists. And wherever there's Marxism, there's corruption, right? It's just what happens when you centralize wealth in a certain position, or you centralize power power and wealth in a certain position, right? Only Jesus could be in that position and not abuse the power or misuse the wealth. I'm sorry, just or Buddha, right? Like, of course, Buddha would be like, "Get me out of this position right now. I'm gonna go sit at a waterfall for the rest of my life." I know that's what Buddha would do. Wouldn't even allow himself to be caught in that position for that very reason. Anyway, the FBI will continue to root out fraudsters who victimize our fellow citizens for personal gain. Oh, they sound so heroic, don't they? So righteous. I'm sorry, but like, I just like, it's Black Lives Matter, right? Like, the people burned down cities. Like, they killed people. Like, what do you want me to do? Feel bad for them? Feel bad for the people that donated to it? Like, clearly, but I'm sorry, I really can't. I can't. Because from people I've heard from, people who actually deal with civil rights cases, Black Lives Matter doesn't go, like, they don't bring to light the real civil rights cases. They don't. From what I've seen and from what I've heard, they look for cases that are very difficult to discern the nuance in, right? And they look to push it in order to get their message out there that capitalism is evil, that they need to take over the system, need to, revolution. So, yeah, no, screw the people that are donating to it. Like, get defrauded. But, FBI's, what was it, level 7? It's like the seventh floor of the FBI is filled with just basically the leaders of the FBI are like all political hacks, and so they're gonna do what they need to do to protect the politics. The indictment states that from in and around May 2020 to on or about September 25, 2020, the defendant allegedly devised a scheme to defraud donors by falsely representing that donations to his 501c3 Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta would be used to combat racial and social injustices when in truth the organization was no longer an established charity. Okay, so it was an established charity at some point in time, but it was revoked, and after it was revoked, he was like, keep donating. I'll do this. I wonder how long it was an established charity. See, that's what's curious, I guess. Like, because it was an established charity at some point. It's not like he applied and was denied, right? It's like he was applied, they accepted it, and then at this point in time, right before May 2020, it was revoked. Why did the IRS revoke it at that time? Was he, I'm not seeing I'm not seeing any allegations that the money he received before it was revoked was used by anything else. And I mean, they talk about for personal expenses he incurred in Toledo and elsewhere. Now that may be because he already had like a lavish lifestyle that he was living off of these donations before. But that, I guess, enough of the money was going because it's only like a certain percent, right? For instance, like in some cases, only like 10% of the money or like 15% of the money has to go towards an actual like cause, whereas the rest of it can be used for expenses, stuff like that. And that's why you have sites where you can like rate or not necessarily rate charities, but you can look at charities and see which ones have like what percent of the money actually goes to like what they claim to be like working towards. And that's why there's so many charities that people just don't want to donate to because they're 90% of the money goes to expenses, right, instead of like going to the actual nonprofit. So like administrative costs, right, paying the people who run the thing, right, instead of like actually providing food, whatever it is. Now, according to the indictment, on or about February 18th, 2016, the defendant created the Facebook page entitled Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta. February 18th, 2016. Okay. In March of 2016, defendant registered Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta, Inc. as a 501c3 domestic nonprofit corporation with the Georgia Secretary of State Corporations Division and assumed the role of president and CEO. Based on the information that the defendant provided, Facebook recognized BLMGA as a valid nonprofit organization and allowed users to make donations directly to BLMGA through Facebook. On or about May 15, 2019, BLMGA's tax-exempt status as a charity with the IRS was revoked due to failure to submit IRS Form 990 for 3 consecutive years. If you just submit the form, man. Like, all you really need to do is send like 10% out to actually combat injustice. All right. On or about August 26, 2019, the Georgia Secretary of State Corporations Division administratively dissolved BLMGA's nonprofit corporation for failure to file necessary paperwork. It is alleged that the defendant failed to notify Facebook, and these are all allegations. These are all like allegations, right? Could be that he's completely innocent, and they're just chasing a wild goose. They're barking up the wrong tree, right? It's totally possible this guy's completely innocent. However, I'm not inclined to believe that, and I'm also not inclined to feel sorry for the people who donated. It's nice to see something that I don't really have a bone to pick in this fight. Although I did have friends on Facebook this past summer who were sharing links around like, oh, donate to these, and it's just like, y'all are gonna get fucking screwed over. Like, you guys are all gonna be just follow the fraud here. All right, okay. It is alleged that the defendant failed to notify Facebook of these revocations. Failed to notify Facebook of his stuff being revoked, the charity's tax-exempt status being revoked, or asked that Facebook stop displaying the BLMGA as a nonprofit organization. As a result, BLMGA's Facebook page continued to be displayed as a nonprofit organization with a donation button through the end of September 2020, and Facebook continued to collect and disperse the purported charity donations on a bi-monthly basis. To create the false pretense and representation that BLMGA was a legitimate social justice organization, the defendant routinely made posts on BLMGA's public Facebook page about social and racial issues, including those occurring in Georgia. I guess he's talking about Ahmaud Arbery, which, we want to talk about that. Like, that it does seem to be a case of a couple of racist guys acting racist, but that doesn't necessarily change my opinion that, like, he kind of caused his own death, which at the same time, like, he had like the right to do it. What he did, he was well within the law to do what he did, but apparently, like, people were like, oh well, shotgun going off twice. He shot himself twice. Well, you got to remember, right, that people load their shotguns with two different types of shells, right? First shot's going to be bird shot. That's going to penetrate your skin. It's not going to kill you. Second shot's going to be buckshot. That's going to put a hole in you. Right? So, in the heat of the moment, with adrenaline running, bird shot, not going to do a thing. Right? Particularly to, an athletic guy's like gut where he's got abs, right? And ribs. But the second one, buckshot, man, buckshot will fuck you up. Anyway, in addition to falsely representing BLMGA as a legitimate nonprofit organization, the defendant is accused of using the BLMGA Facebook handle. What the fuck is that? Probably just a cat chasing a fly or something. There's probably cats out there. Anyway, the handle to privately in addition to falsely representing BLMGA as a legitimate nonprofit organization, the defendant is accused of using the BLMGA Facebook handle to privately communicate with other Facebook users and falsely represented that the donations would be used to fight for George Floyd and the movement. As a result, over 100 people donated to BLMGA through its Facebook page. It is alleged that the defendant used a substantial portion of the funds donated to BLMGA to buy personal items, including entertainment, hotel rooms, clothing, and firearms. Holy shit. The defendant is accused of using the largest sum of funds to purchase a property and the adjoining vacant lot on Glenwood Avenue and Maplewood Avenue in Toledo, Ohio. I heard of that. I mean, I feel like a lot of streets are probably named Glenwood. Toledo, Ohio. I mean, I've definitely heard of that. I don't know anything about it, though. This property was to be used as a personal residence for the defendant. The indictment states the defendant allegedly attempted to conceal the purchase of the property by titling it to High Frequency, Ohio, and requesting that the seller's realtor enter into a non-disclosure agreement. This prevented the seller from disclosing the defendant was the true buyer and that he used BLMJ funds to make the purchase. An indictment is only a charge and is not evidence of guilt. It is entitled to a fair trial in which the government's burden to prove guilt beyond reasonable doubt. Yep. If convicted, the defendant's sentence will be determined by the court after a review of factors unique to this case, including the defendant's prior criminal record, if any, defendant's role in the offense, and the characteristics of violation. In all cases, the sentence will not exceed the statutory maximum, and in most cases, it will be less than the maximum. What is the maximum? They told us the guy who pissed in his chair and wouldn't put on a mask and hit the attendant in the arm might get up to 20 years and might have to pay $250,000 a fine. God forbid, because I think that's crazy. But here, why don't they say it? What is it? I bet it's less. You defraud people of $450,000. You can get less maximum sentence than the guy who pissed his pants aboard a plane, hit a flight attendant in the arm, and refuse to put on a mask. Gonna get less. How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet? Write down this. There's no case. Damn you. Damn you. Download indictment. Oof. What's this? This is the whole kit and caboodle right here. All funds will be used to fight for George Floyd. All funds will be used to fight for George Floyd. We will be using funds to fight for justice for George Floyd. I mean, the guy's dead. Apparently, I mean, I guess you could say he's going to get justice if the guy's tried. Probably going to be convicted from what I've heard, just from an analysis of the jury and the reality of, like, what the prosecution is kind of up to. And the judge they got, the out-of-state prosecutors that they hired. You can send donations. They just aren't tax-exempt funds. Wait, what? You can send donations. They just are not tax-exempt. Funds will be used to help protests in other needed markets. It's not personal. It's for the movement. Just to clear things up, funds have been used for personal items, all movement related. Sounds like he's being kind of honest here. Approximate amount of money transferred. Damn, dude. I need to get in the nonprofit business, man. Like, what the fuck? I just need to make sure I follow the law. Holy shit. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Y'all donate to my shit, man. Like, of course, I'd have to create a whole new Facebook identity because everybody on my Facebook knows what I believe. Like, holy shit. Bet I could actually do something with it, though. Like, actually something good. Whoa. What's this? To pay a prostitute. You see this? Defendant uses a substantial portion of the funds donated to BLMGA in a manner inconsistent with... This is allegations, right? This is allegations. Inconsistent with the organization's public and private pretenses, representations, and promises. Specifically, defendant used the donations to buy personal items, entertainment, hotel rooms, clothing, firearms, and real property for personal use in Toledo, Ohio, and on at least one occasion to pay a prostitute. First off, how do they know that? I'd be curious to find out how they know this guy paid a prostitute with these funds. I mean, like, I'm guessing the prostitutes take cash only, right? I suppose you could say if you know that he hired a prostitute at any point in time and his only income was from this stuff, I mean, like, heck, he could argue that he actually used money that was left to him by his, long dead uncle, right? Uncle left him an old car. He sold the old car. He's just been saving the money for prostitutes because he's not gonna sully the reputation of his BLMGA organization by using money from that to pay no prostitutes. Like, no, sir. But, like, yeah, what? I mean, these guys really act like they were, omnipotent in these cases. It's just kind of like, like, what? How do you know? How do you know that? Like, how do you know that? Like, what the hell? That's funny, though. That's still funny. Pyramid Lounge. Sounds like a strip club. Apple Store. Apple. Best Buy. Dillard's. Hyatt. ATM cash withdrawal at Renaissance Hotel, $204. So is he paying a $4 fee? Highway robbery. ATMs. Another cash withdrawal of $100. I guess that's where they suppose the prostitutes came into play. Furniture Palace, Home Depot, Walmart, Walmart, Towers, Armory. These guys, they're not going to get in trouble for accepting this money. Definitely not. It'd be kind of fucked up if anybody did, but still. Wait a second. Okay, so I can get the case number. Right. Case number 321 CR 157, and this is Judge Helmick. That's funny. Fucking A. Navajo, Toledo man, Crow agency man admits stabbing man. Final member of Wasau methamphetamine conspiracy sentenced. Defendant sentenced for involuntary manslaughter after killing a man at Tulsa's downtown bus station. Involuntary manslaughter? He accidentally killed a dude and he got sentenced? Oh, shit. Statement of acting U.S. Attorney Gorman on anti-Asian hate crimes and bias acts. This is just a statement by some dude. Political. It sucks that somebody accidentally killed somebody, and he's probably not minding having to, being sentenced for it, because people do feel like, at least decent people feel pretty guilty after stuff like that. California man pleads guilty to email compromise scheme that stole millions from Northwest Maritime construction firms. California man. There's definitely some Florida man ones in here. Dallas County man convicted at trial for child enticement. Everett man charged with armed bank robbery. Informational federal court arraignments. Previously convicted sex offender pleads guilty to distribution of CP. Oh gosh. 3 additional members of alleged fraud ring based in San Fernando Valley arrested on charges of exploiting COVID relief programs. Fraud ring in San Fernando Valley. That's California, isn't it? Northern District of Texas roundup. What is that? Sentencing, guilty plea. Sentencing. 5 years. Interference with commerce. Possession to distribute methamphetamine. Conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute methamphetamine. Okay, well, I don't really care about meth. I'm here for the outlandish stuff. Child predator and cyber terrorist. Since 75 years. Drug trafficking in Louisiana. Drug trafficker in Louisiana since federal prison. Superseding federal indictment implicates Augusta woman in child exploitation investigation. Formal federal prison official and factory manager at USP Marion sentenced. Sex offender who fled with girlfriend to Mexico sentenced. Former Rowan Park police officers charged with conspiracy to commit extortion and related charges in marijuana seizure scheme. Hold on. This one should be interesting to explore. Former Rowan Park police officers charged with conspiracy to commit extortion and related charges in marijuana seizure scheme. San Francisco. Oh, man. Excuse me. United States Attorney's Office for Northern District of California unsealed charges today in a criminal complaint charging former Rowan Park police officers Brendan J.C. Tatum and Joseph Huffaker with conspiracy to commit extortion under color of official right. Announced acting United States. Okay, so Tatum is also charged with falsification of records in a federal investigation and tax evasion. So they use their kind of police position, I guess. Honestly, no, I don't think this one's that interesting. Little Rock woman sentenced to 41 months in prison for COVID relief fraud, bank robbery in Lakewood, Colorado. Sky Global executive and associate indictment for providing encrypted communication devices to help international drug traffickers avoid law enforcement. Sky Global executive and associate providing encrypted communication devices to help international drug traffickers avoid law enforcement. Damn. Man sentenced to attempting to board international flight with a loaded firearm. FBI Washington Field Office seeking information regarding the kidnapping of Sidney Meisel. FBI needs your help to catch Yankees cap crook. FBI needs your help to catch Yankees cap crook. 5,000 cash reward. Houston, Texas. The FBI Violent Crime Task Force seeks assistance from the public to identify and locate a suspect dubbed the Yankees Cap Crook, who is responsible for a Houston area bank robbery. Oh, I thought this was going to be something else. January 4th, 2021, a man entered the Wood Forest Bank located within a Walmart store at 1313 Fry Road in Katy. Oh shit, approximately 6:45 p.m. I used to live in Katy. He requested a withdrawal slip from a teller, then made a written demand for cash. The suspect proceeded to the money center area of the store and approached an employee assisting a customer who was making a payment. The man demanded cash from the transaction with the customer and lifted his jacket, exposing the grip of a black semi-automatic pistol. The employee gave the cash to the robber. The suspect left with an undisclosed amount of money and is also wanted in connection with a robbery that occurred later that night at Walmart, located at 8538 I-35 in San Antonio. Later that night at a Walmart in San Antonio. Witnesses described the Yankees cap crook as a black male in his late 20s, approximately 5'6" to 6 feet, medium build, wearing a black New York Yankees baseball cap, two-tone gray over navy blue hooded jacket, camo pants, black shoes, and a beige face mask. He was seen in a dark-colored sedan. Bank surveillance photos of the suspect in his car posted on Twitter at FBI Houston and attached. Crime Stoppers, 5,000 for information. Rochester music teacher pleads guilty to 74 charges. Oh my gosh. 61 counts of production of CP. Michael A. Christman named assistant director. Brian A. Borman named assistant director. Canton man sentenced to 8 years for distributing carfentanil in possession of firearms as a felon. Maryland U.S. Attorney's Office creates civil rights units to prosecute hate crimes and violations of federal law and to address discrimination in housing, education, and other sectors. McKee sport woman pleads guilty to embezzling more than $43K. Damn. That's not even that much. If you're going to embezzle big. Former enforcer of New Bedford Latin Kings chapter pleads guilty to drug trafficking and manufacturing charges. 2 charged with conspiracy to defraud bank fraud, and aggravated identity theft. Dominican national sentenced to 8 years in prison for distributing crack cocaine and illegal reentry. New bank fraud and aggravated identity theft charges added to nonprofit CEO's previous federal indictment, charging her with wire fraud, bank fraud, and aggravated identity theft. Author man sentenced to 212 years in prison for scheming to collect insurance proceeds by intentionally killing his children. Oh, shit. Former president of Philadelphia Wholesale Produce Market charged with stealing $7.8 million from his employer. Shit. That is a lot of money. Jury convicts Jacksonville man of attempted enticement to produce child sex abuse images and videos on motherhood blog websites and possessing child exploitation materials. Chicago street gang member sentenced to 10 years in prison on a racketeering conspiracy charge. Northern California man indicted for distributing and possessing fentanyl. GBK gang member sentenced to federal prison for firearms law violation. Repeat fraudster sentenced to COVID-19 load fraud scheme. Serial cell phone store robber convicted at trial. What the fuck you robbing cell phone stores? I guess money? Cash? I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the hell you're getting out of it. Phones? Accessories? Phone cases? You just kept dropping your phone and couldn't find a case that would freaking work. But apparently he does it a lot. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I've been going to bed around this time, actually. Actually, before this time, I've been going to bed real early lately. Like 6, 7, 8. It's been nice. You know, I wake up at like 4 in the morning, maybe like 5. Sometimes I just lay in bed for a while. Anyway, FBI Executive Assistant Director Darren Jones participated in the United Nations Crimes Congress panel on lawful access. Mountains resident pleads guilty to assault. Beresford man charged with receipt and distribution. Suspected gang member arrested, charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm. Nebraska man sentenced to 21 months in prison for stealing and selling employers' confidential information. Buffalo man arrested, charged for his role in a scheme to defraud Medicaid out of thousands of dollars. Rapid City man sentenced to prison for possession of CP. Springfield woman pleads guilty to sex trafficking conspiracy. Gary man sentenced to 30 years in prison. Nigerian national sentenced to 9 years in federal prison for money laundering conspiracy related to a romance scam. This is the Nigerian prince schemes. This is one of those Nigerian prince schemes. They caught one. Holy shit. That's funny. How long is this one? Oh, it's short. It's short. Oh, excuse me. Remote, Maryland. U.S. District Judge. What the fuck is this short? The U.S. District Judge Paul W. Graham today sentenced Nigerian national Sun Banjo Ujedokun? Ohedokun? I don't know. Age 37 to 9 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release for a money laundering conspiracy related to a romance scam and other fraud schemes. Also ordered him to pay $325,100 in restitution. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. According to evidence presented at trial, members of the conspiracy searched online dating websites to initiate romantic relationships with vulnerable men and women. They phoned, emailed, texted, and used internet chat messenger services to form romantic relationships with the victims who live throughout the United States. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad they caught one of them. one of those Nigerian guys behind bars, dude. That's funny. Pay that money back, yeah, asshole. Dude, I hate that. I've had people try to scam me, call me, and be like, "There's something wrong with your computer. You need to download this thing and let me walk around on your computer." And it's like, let me just keep you on the line for the rest of your day and never do what you want me to do. Because screw you. Screw you, man. Let me take up all your damn time, asshole. 2 former Louisiana supervisor correctional officers sentenced for civil rights offense arising out of the death of an inmate. Damn. Stratford man admits producing and distributing CP. 2 former Louisiana correctional officers sentenced for cover-up following death of an inmate. Damn. Is that kind of the same thing? So they caused it, and these guys covered it up. That's what it seems like, just from reading these two things. Incarcerated felon pleads guilty to possession of CP. Gulf Coast gang member sentenced to almost 3 years in federal prison for firearms offense. Okay. Almost 3 years. Alright, whatever. I've been married since 9.5 years in federal prison for rolling robbery spree of cell phone stores across Southern California. FBI Violent Crimes Task Force seeks assistance to identify the Back Again bandit. The Back Again bandit. He hits the same place like more than twice. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's a funny name. Back Again bandit. Berkeley County man admits to roles in drug conspiracy. Former accounting coordinator for nonprofit organization pleads guilty to embezzling more than $321,000. FBI offers reward in Shiprock, New Mexico. Suspicious death. Shiprock, New Mexico. Suspicious death. Curious. The FBI is offering a reward of up to $5,000 for information leading to the identification, arrest, conviction of the individual or individuals responsible for the death of Isaiah Terrell Billy. On October 5th, 2020, Billy was found deceased in a wash east of the Sinclair gas station near mile marker 23 on U.S. Highway 64 in Shiprock, New Mexico. The cause of death is pending but considered suspicious. Billy, who was 30 at the time, lived in Shiprock on the Navajo Nation. Oh, dude. The FBI and Navajo Nation Division of Public Safety are investigating. To be fair, there's a high possibility the guy was drunk and he just kind of fell down in there and busted his head open. A lot of people don't know this, but Native Americans, they don't have like a bacteria in their liver to help them process alcohol the way like people with European like descent do, and that's why like alcohol is like a really big problem. Like Native American like alcoholism is a huge problem, especially like New Mexico is one of those places where they do have a lot of Indian Americans, Navajos, Apaches, a whole bunch of them. There's a lot of tribes I don't even know the names of, right? I only know a few of the big ones. But I know Indian tattoos when I see them. So I can ask at least, hey, what tribe? Let me see. FBI and Palm Beach Sheriff's Office conducts regional workshop. North Tonawanda man indicted for COVID-19 relief fraud and credit card fraud. Rioter from May 30th, Seattle civil unrest pleads guilty to arson and possession of a stolen firearm. New Orleans attorney pleads guilty to tax fraud charge. Pittsburgh felon admits violating federal drug and gun laws. Kansas City man sentenced for $6 million Ponzi scheme. Help the FBI locate fugitive Pedro Sanchez Laporte. Former LMPD officer sentenced for civil rights violation. Explorer program. How many more results? Show 100 more articles. What? This shit just keeps going and going. Well, as you can see, a lot of it is fraud. A lot of it's CP. A lot of it's... Former Alpine residents admits lying to agents about creating fake racist message. I'm glad I scrolled down. Hold on. This is the last one. Last one for the evening. It's already an hour, 20-minute long stream. I really didn't do any work before this. I didn't take notes on Congress Watch or anything like that. I was just like, you know what, let me go see what's on FBI. I read around a little bit. I found this first case where it was talking about the interference with interfering with flight attendants. FBI investigating the guy who pissed his seat, wouldn't put on a face mask, and he can get up to 20 years in prison, or he may have to pay up to $250,000 in fines. Anyway, in Alpine today, 26-year-old Devin Portillo admitted to lying to FBI agents during investigation into the source of a racist text message purportedly sent by Portillo's election opponent. Announced U.S. Attorney Ashley C. Hoff and FBI Special Agent in Charge Luis Quesada, El Paso Division. Appearing before U.S. Magistrate Judge David B. Fannin, Portillo pleaded guilty to one count of making a false statement to a federal agent. By pleading guilty, Portillo admitted that in June 2020, he was running for election against another candidate when FBI agents interviewed him about a racist social media text falsely attributed to his opponent. Portillo denied creating the racist text message. He later contacted the FBI and advised that the text was authored by another individual whom he identified to investigators. However, in a subsequent interview with FBI agents, Portillo admitted that he had indeed authored the fake text message and that the individual he identified as the author of the text had nothing to do with its creation. Portillo faces up to 5 years in federal prison. He remains on bond pending sentencing. Sentencing has yet to be scheduled. The FBI investigated this case. Assistant U.S. Attorney Mallory J. Rasmussen is prosecuting this case. If anybody ever tries to tell you that people in politics are very trustworthy, they would never do anything, they'd never make anything up, come on, get real. Just remember the 26-year-old who was running in an election in El Paso made a fake racist text message and said that his opponent is the one who sent him the racist text message. Honestly, why is the FBI even involved? Racist text message. The creation of a racist text message. I guess he got the FBI involved. I suppose. I don't know how racist the racist text message is, but I mean, really? Racist text messages? I mean, on one hand, yeah, I would expect a politician or somebody who's even trying to get into politics doing this. Not surprising at all. Not all that surprising that the FBI is investigating it either. I don't know how they got involved. I don't know how racist the racist text message is. But apparently, maybe, I don't know. If you send somebody a racist social media text, or you say something racist to somebody in a text, then the FBI can potentially get involved. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. Personally, like, let people be racist, I suppose. Like, that's on them. You know, like, people aren't gonna vote for somebody who's racist, like openly racist, I guess. People trying to use racist, and people have been calling people racist for so long. It's just it don't mean a damn thing anymore. It don't mean anything anymore. It's just like, oh, I can't debate my side of the argument, so I'm gonna just accuse you of being a racist or a fascist. And it's like, you're an idiot. You don't have an argument. You don't have any facts. You don't have any rationale. You're sitting over there, you're buying a bunch of BS that people are just, oh, these racist, fascist, misogynist, Islamophobic. What is it? You see that meme of like Hillary Clinton? She's like, homophobic, Islamophobic, blah, 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 blah. You name it. It's just like, fuck you, bitch. Like, goddamn. She's got all these other bitches doing the same shit. Fascists. Bootlickers. It's just like, man, you people are lunatics. You don't go to the sources. You don't put any effort into it. You tell people, oh, just Google it. It's like, look, if I Google what you want me to Google, I'll find what you want me to find. But you read it and you see one thing. I read it and I see no sources, no credible sources, right? Because by credible, all the time, it's anonymous sources this, anonymous sources that. Like, oh, he said something during his rally. You go and you watch the rally, didn't say that. I'm like, okay. Wasting my time. Wasting my goddamn time with your bullshit. And this kid apparently tried to do the same shit, except he made the mistake of wasting the FBI's time. So bitch. Dumbass. Anyway. Yeah, that's all I got for today. There's a lot. I might be looking through this a bit more often, right? Because I was getting kind of bored of the Congress Watch. Like, yeah, it's important. It's kind of nice. But I was getting kind of bored of it. I'm not going to lie. Just kind of, it's easy. It's a nice place to get content. But holy shit. This is where some pretty interesting stuff is at. I mean, like, you can read all day about bills that might get passed. The ones that do get passed are the only ones of any real consequence. Right? But here, this is actual news. This is actual news. Holy shit. Portillo. You don't get the FBI involved, eh? Hombre. Fucking, and whatever. I'm in Houston. I can speak Spanish. Act like it's racist. Like, nah, dude. If you want to speak Spanish, you gotta change the way you say, the way you talk. It's the only way to really speak a foreign language, right? It's the only way to really do it. So you gotta take on the dialects. You gotta, let it flow. Let it flow from you. That's how it is. Right? No way you can speak Spanish without, changing up the way you talk, especially if you speak English. It's the same thing with like Russian and German. Try learning German and not like speaking German as if like you're German, right? Like, it's a thing. You really gotta kind of change the way to French, right? Italian, all of that. You gotta really do it. Anyway. This has been that. That's been this. This has been interesting. We got a couple of cases we're going to try to follow up on. I need to write down hold on, little note. The BLMGA fraud. Right, the first one was interfering with a flight crew. Gets you a maximum 20 years. Intimidating or assaulting flight crew with a deadly weapon can get you life. Intimidating, right? Deadly weapon, life. Not murder. assaulting, excuse me, like hurting them. You hurt them, life, maximum, of course. And it's like any amount of time. Like there's like no, like nothing in there. Like this says anything like, oh yeah, maximum 20 years for just interfering, maximum life. Like that's nuts. And that was signed into law by Bill Clinton. So thanks, Bill, for that BS. I think that's crazy. I think that's crazy. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd like to hear your opinion on it because I think it's crazy. Of course, I might be a little crazy. So I'm certainly tired. Certainly a little sleepy right now. I'm not going to lie. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for following. This has been FBI Watch. Crazy. Have a good night.